I would like to take a moment before we get into today's main episode and to talk about my sponsor for the podcast. Podmatch is a new podcasting site dedicated to all podcasters. The platform helps hosts get connected with potential guests to appear on their show, as well as allow guests to find podcasts that will give them a chance to share their story. Podmatch offers many tools to help organize your page, from to-do lists to episode planning to potentially appearing on a leaderboard. Podmatch has it all. The best part, you have the potential to get paid. And who doesn't like to get paid from home? I like to. With an easy sign up, you can start connecting with podcasters and guests immediately. I have been a part of Podmatch since the beginning of May, and I have got to say that it was the best decision I've ever made because Podmatch helps your podcast grow. It helps you get connected with people that have very interesting, very compelling background stories that are just waiting for their story to be shared. So if you are a host or guest and would like to start building professional relationships, explore more opportunities, and have your story shared, I highly suggest that you sign up with Podmatch today by going to joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to start expanding your network in seconds. I would like to give another huge thank you to Podmatch for sponsoring this episode. Now on to our main episode, and again, you can sign up at joinpodmatch.com/lethal venom to begin your podcasting journey today. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lethal Venom Podcast, the show where I talk about anything I want with the honest to God truth, the last told. And today I'm joined by Mr. Ray Starr. He is an entertainer, producer, and psychic who's 16 years sober and passionate about authenticity. From co-producing NBC's Real Music Live to mentoring people in recovery, he inspires audiences to rise from rock bottom and live their greatest comeback in art and life as well as in spirit. So, Ray, thank you so much for coming on. I told you before when we got on that I just read your profile and read your story, and I thought it was just such a huge, impactful thing that I just had to have you on for you to share. So thank you for coming on and talking with me today.
Hey, no worries, man. Thanks for having me on the show, Noah. Appreciate it.
So if you could just introduce yourself and tell my listeners a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
Yeah, my name's Ray Starr, and like you were saying, I am a music producer. I'm also a executive producer on a mini series, and I'm also a promotions producer on a show called Real Music Live that we've already had a couple test airings on NBC, which is awesome. And and of course, I am also, a psychic. I've been doing that professionally for much longer than I'd like to admit. And of course, I'm also a session player, so I'll go play guitar on whoever needs me to play on their album, and I also am a touring musician. So if need be, I'll be a hired gun and go out on the road with whatever artist the label wants me to go out on the road with. So. Plus, I got my own stuff as well, music wise. I also have a side project called Death and Sons, and then I also have my own um, solo music as well. So, yeah, try to keep busy.
It sounds like you stay busy all the time, and there's so much to unpack. So I guess we'll start at the very beginning. Explain to me, how did becoming or interest in music begin? Was it something that you were always passionate about?
Yeah, so I have a very defining moment in my life that before all the chaos started, I remember I was just shy of 4 years old. I just turned four actually. And I grew up kind of poor. We had one channel, right? And on TV they showed it was the Kinks. It was an old concert like from like I think it was the early 70s, and the Kinks were playing some outside festival in Europe, and there had to been like easily 150,000 people there. It just kept going and going and going. It was amazing. And I remember I pointed at the screen and I pointed back at my dad and I pointed back at the screen and I'm like, that's what I want to do when I grew up. I just knew right then and there. I knew nothing of music, never played a note in my life, knew nothing of it. I just wanted that experience. And you know, I've I've had some pretty amazing experiences in life. I'm pretty grateful for, but that's where it all really started. Not not saying I was the hugest Kinks fan or nothing like that. That wasn't the crowning inspiration, but I mean, don't get me wrong, they had some cool songs, but that wasn't. It was just that moment. I'm like, man, that's got to be an amazing feeling.
Do you remember your
And
first gig that you had?
oh, yeah, that was kind of a fail. I don't know. Like I
Oh
always had it
no.
in my system. Well, I mean, I wasn't a fail. I mean, I was a kid. I think, oh God, my first show I played, I was actually 7 years old. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
It was a talent show. So I uh, I played Boney Maroney. Yeah, totally remember that. But I just I once I had that experience, I was just like, holy cow, man! I just took right to music. It just for me, I didn't understand at the time. I know now. It's a very very and I'm sure it is for most people. Like music is like somewhat of a spiritual experience. It just takes you on a journey out of your life, out of the day
Mhm.
to day, and it just connects with so many people. It's just I don't think there's anything more powerful in the world than music.
You know, I've always told people, I said, if music wasn't a thing, I don't know how I would have survived. Because
Yeah.
it helps everyone in any kind of way. And I'm also like, can you imagine what our world would be like if music wasn't a thing? It was.
Oh, I mean, I don't even know what it would be like. I mean, I always say, my guitar carried me through the best times of my life, and it also carried me through the absolute worst times of my life. But there's one thing that's consistent is music was always there.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't even know what the hell life would be like without it. Can't even fathom it.
So when I introduced you, you had mentioned that you were clean and sober for 16 years, which congratulations on that. That's a huge
Thank you.
achievement to have and everything. Explain to me a little bit more about what led to this addiction and how has recovery shaped your life and career?
Well, it's very much impacted my career, 100%. I you know, nobody becomes an addict because their life is sparkling. You know what I mean? Like I too, like when I was at a young age, I mean, my parents, amazing people, really great people. I grew up really poor, but because they were trying to dig us out of that hole, both of them just worked their ass off. So each of them had three jobs. So I was a latchkey kid. I basically raised myself. And unfortunately, my abuser was another family member, and then, I'd go to school and I'd have the living hell beat out of me there. So, to an 11-year-old kid that you don't know how to process that. And I would always hear my parents when they came home how stressed they were about money and how hard they're working. And so I never wanted to burden them with what was happening. You know what I mean? And so that led me to, most kids go home at dinner time. I'm out on the street still. You know what I mean? So you're naturally drawn to other kids that have the same sort of thing, if you get my drift, and which led me on to a, you know, introduction to drugs at an incredibly young age, you know, and uh, and that was the escape from everything that was happening, and unfortunately, my quote unquote solution mutated into my problem. Now, as I started to progress in life, I got into a band at a young age. I did my first professional recording at 14. I was a lot younger than those guys. And all of a sudden, I'm starting to be recognized. You know what I mean? And I got into this band. It took off at like I got some success at a young age, and it just escalated with the drugs and everything got worse. It started off with sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Then it was just sex and drugs, and in the end, it was just drugs. There was nothing left of my life. I burnt it all down to smithereens, and I tried to clean up on my own for a while, and I did manage to somewhat. Um, but just the right circumstance of life present itself to an addict, and then we're just off and running again. You know what I mean? And I have, I am clean for 16 years, but truthfully, it took me 10 years to get that 16 years. So I was around, recovery for 26 years, even though I only got 16. And it's because I couldn't get it. I felt that I didn't have a problem. I just felt I had some bad luck. That's all. I just won't go and hang out with those, I don't know, Asian gangsters in the bad part of town, or like it just the people that as your drug addiction progresses, you start doing more and more, I guess, dangerous drugs. And in order to get dangerous drugs, you're hanging around with dangerous people, and dangerous people take you to worse and worse places, and you end up hanging out with people that, I have a friend of mine, he says it really well. He just, I ended up hanging out with people I hate doing things I don't want to do. That's where addiction took me, right? But one thing when I was a kid, you know, I go back to that vision of, the Kinks there, seeing that. It's like I knew nothing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll. All I knew was rock and roll. And so when I got clean, I mean, for the first year and a half, I didn't even play music. I avoided it altogether because I associated everything in my life with using. Like in that world, it's kind of hard, like you get loaded at rehearsal, you get loaded on the way to rehearsal, you get loaded after rehearsal, you get loaded at the show, you get loaded after the show, you get loaded on the tour bus, you get loaded off of the tour bus. Everything about it was just constantly using, and so it took some time for me to get the confidence to come back to music. But I had this epiphany at about a year and a half, and a big part of me was dying. It was really hard for me not to play music at that time. And it's like, hey man, you know what? You got into music because you love music. You didn't get into it because all this other crap, And as simple as that sounds, it took a while for me to figure that one out. And so I started to get back to music.
Did you have a particular drug choice during this, or was it more of a variety of different
I
kinds of
was a garbage
drugs?
can. I was a garbage can. If it would get me out of my head, I would do it, and I'm not proud of that by any means. And it always starts innocently, like with just, pot and booze, but to an addict, it's like I used to say this stuff's for children. And once I started to discover I think cocaine was my biggest demon for sure, but it led me into a whole other world of everything that, like I said, doing things I never thought I would ever be doing. You know what I mean? But that's how it goes. It's a very progressive disease, right? And it is a disease, you know?
Can you explain to me a little bit more about what the recovery process was like and explain what rehab was like for you?
Yeah. So the last time I came in, there was a bunch of bottoms I had, like, and the bottom always does seem to get better, and I guess the last time I came in, there was nothing left of me. I mean, I always joke, I had to. At one point, I had twigs in my hair. My shirt looked like I got in a fight with a weed whacker. I'm missing a shoe, and I came in walking all tall and proud, thinking, "Look at me, I got a six pack." And it's like, no, that's your ribs, you idiot. Because I haven't eaten it. I don't know how long, And it's like I couldn't understand the unmanageability of my life, if that makes any sense. Like to anyone else, they're going, "Oh my God, like do something with your life. Like look at you, man." And I think one of the reasons I couldn't get clean for the longest time is I was a high functioning addict. So I still managed to hang on to jobs and stuff like that for a long time. I could somewhat function as a mess until the mess got too big, and it did. And then it's the great isolator. Like it starts pushing away friends, family, career, obviously. And so like the last time I came in, I finally said uncle, I guess, like I had no more great ideas, That's one of the reasons I couldn't get clean because like every typical addict, we still got great ideas. And it's like if you're trying to fix a problem with the same brain that created the problem, it doesn't work like that, right? And I had an old guy get a hold of me. He got so sick and tired of watching me coming in and out of the rooms. And he just flat out said to me, he goes, Ray, sit down, shut the F up. If they ask you to share, I want to hear you say pass because you got nothing useful to say. I don't want to hear a fucking word out of your mouth for 6 months. I'm like, I wanted to stab this guy, right? I, uh, but you know what? That guy saved my life. He saved my life. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I can talk about him this way. He's passed now. So and he knew he was a grumpy fucker. But like if he saw me in a recovery meeting and he saw me talking to a pretty girl, he'd be right in my face, like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "You got nothing to offer her. Leave her alone. Stay away from her, right?" Yeah, I'm like, "Oh man, you're ruining my life, bro." But again, he was saving my life, and I didn't see that. Um, and I'm grateful for all the people that have helped me. And it's like, I cannot take any credit for being clean as long as I have. It took an army, a village, or whatever you want to call it. Like it's been a lot of people that's helped me along the way, man, and I'm grateful for all of them. And that's one of the reasons I like to give back. And it's the other reason. It's like why I try to do so much in my career. It's because I want to inspire other people. I want people to look at Ray Ray and go, "Hey, man, if a no good junkie like that guy can do this, imagine what I could do." You know, because that's all an addict is just someone that's lost faith in themselves. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Usually when you get yelled at like that, those are the people that end up helping and saving your life. It's the ones that really nag on you and ag on and scream at you. And you think that, oh, they're ruining your life, but deep down, they'll save you in the end. And
Oh,
then you'll be
100%.
forever grateful for them.
Oh, 100%. Like one of the like addicts, I'm not unique. We're master manipulators and we're artists. That's what addicts become, right? So one of the other reasons I couldn't get clean, I'd always get people that I knew I could easily manipulate, you know what I mean, and BS them. And this guy been through a lot in life. Like prison, everything. Like there's nothing I could say to this guy that he hadn't done. So he could see right through my bullshit and call me on it. And that's what I needed. You know what I mean? I didn't need someone, "Oh, Ray, I'm so glad you're back. We were missing you. You okay?" That never worked for me. I needed someone like him to tell me to sit down, shut the F up. Bust my balls basically. And it doesn't matter how I got here, but I got here. You know what I mean? And so, I'm very, very much involved in recovery. I volunteer a lot. I go talk at detox panels and you know I try my best to give back as much as I can because people were there to help me when I needed them. You know, and it's really sad the way the media portrays it. And you see all these homeless people and all this stuff, but that's someone's brother, that's someone's sister, it's someone's mom. It's someone's dad. Like trust me, they don't want to be there, but and everyone's like, well, just get a job. Well, it's not that easy, man. I mean, there's a lot of trauma there. If you heard some of these stories from these people, your head would blow up. You wouldn't even, think of your worst horror movies, and these people got even worse stories, and you can't even believe it's real. You know what I mean? So, what choice did they have, really? You know? And so, um, but you got to be ready. You got to be willing to help, to accept the help. And I think that was the problem for me. I just wasn't willing to accept the help. I still had ego. I played punk rock most of my life, so when I was doing, I had that punk rock attitude. It's like, don't tell me what to do, you know, uh, fuck authority, like that whole mentality. It almost killed me. I had numerous overdoses. I died on a table, not once but twice. You know, I ended up incarcerated. Like all the things they always say in recovery, there's only three ways it's going to end up: jails, institutions, or death. And unfortunately, I can check off all those, and I'm not proud of that at all, but it's unfortunately where addiction can take you, but like I said, the one thing that's always kind of carried me is you know um is hopes of a better life one day, and visions of family, and of course, and music, you know. Music was always there still. I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna figure this out. I'm gonna get back to music, and so I got here anyway, and as we look at it now, I mean, I can't even begin to tell you how amazing my life is compared to where it was, and most people can't see it. I mean, they there's a thing they do in early recovery, where they'll ask you, what do you think your life's going to look like? What do you want your life to look like in a year? So you write a bunch of stuff down, and they come to your year, and nine and a half times out of 10, you surpass what you put there, because when you're homeless, all you want is a roof over your head, a bed, maybe a meal a day, right? Well, I can say I've got all those and more. Maybe a bit too much food sometimes, but I'm good. So I'm pretty grateful.
And besides, and after that, your life really changed drastically for the better. You've really worked on yourself and you've had such a successful career. You had mentioned that you were in the process of getting or had your show, you were co-producing a show for NBC that actually had some test runs. What's
Yeah.
been what's that experience been like for you of being a co-producer?
Well, for that show, I'm actually the promotions producer, but it's been absolutely incredible journey. The show is very unique in the fact that, like, most music shows are like talent shows, and I don't like that, because truthfully, I don't believe music is a sport. It's not like you win and you're a loser. It's like, nah, man, if the universe gave you that song, it's meant to be shown, it's meant to be shared, right? It's that simple, right? And so one of the big problems that's happened in the industry, unless you're in it, you would never know. The average person doesn't know this, but when they go watch a big act, there's all kinds of backing tracks going on. So, when a singer, I'm not going to mention names, but when they sing, it's just their voice sounds so bloody angelic, which is impossibly inhuman to do, because when they sing one note, it's not them. There's six other harmonies underneath that are layered that you can only do in a studio. And then then behind the stage, there's usually three workstations, computer workstations, each with three people at each station, monitoring it to make sure that it doesn't screw up. And if it does, it can flip within a millisecond, so the human ear wouldn't be able to pick up that a system died, and they just sound larger than life, when in actuality they can't. That's not human. And same thing with the guitars and the drums and everything else. Guitars are another one. Like a guy hits a big wow like this, but it sounds like pure thunder. It's because you're listening to six guitars play at once, not one. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's some bands that stick to the old way of doing things, and they're champions of the sport, as I call it. But anyway, the show is, no one's allowed backing tracks. You're not allowed backing tracks. You're not allowed vocal tuning, which can happen in real time too. So it's like, if they're hitting wrong notes, you're going to hear it. Just the way music used to be. Like, if you were going to be a superstar, you had to have talent. Like, think of like Zeppelin or The Who or whatever. There was no backing tracks back then. You know, um, you had to play your notes. So the show is that way. So every episode we have three signed acts and one act that isn't signed. And that's how the show works. So you're seeing real deal live off the floor. So guess what? It's bringing it back to, you got to be a real musician, and you got to be rehearsed. Or you're gonna blow it up there. And it's pretty awesome. It's pretty freaking awesome. Hence the name Real Music Live.
I for my show, I always bleep names out. Do you know what artists are you particularly talking about that do this whole kind of backing track. They have all this stuff.
Think of
Does
any major pop star you can think of. They all do it. Every one of them. There isn't one that. Think of anyone that would sell out a coliseum. You're watching backing tracks. 9.5 times out of 10. Except for champions that, like, oh, like Foo Fighters or because they're totally against that kind of stuff, right? But there's very few bands that do that anymore. There's some form of it.
I think it is important for real music to come in because it's simple and easy to lip sync stuff, but this is something I've always learned. People that are really good singers are really bad at lip syncing, and people that are bad at singing are really good at lip syncing.
Yeah.
There's never really an in between. Now, you can't have that thing where, yeah, there are some artists that can really, really sing well and lip sync pretty good, where you can't really tell.
Mhm.
But and then there's sometimes where they're so bad and they can't even lip sync to where you can't you just think that it's part of the act and that oh they really can't sing. So there's some singers out there can do both or can't do both. Um it just
Think of it
really
this way. If you're seeing an act that is such a performance and they're dancing their brains out and just doing all these crazy, it's impossible to be able to sing perfectly in key and to not run out of breath because you're literally up there doing a 3 hour cardio workout. You know what I mean? Like it's not very plausible. So that's usually when you're hearing that kind of stuff, right? Or the lip syncing, as you say, you know?
yeah, I've always which if I did that when I sang I'd be like like
Yeah.
I'd be having an asthma attack, my heart
Yeah.
rate would be, I'd be like wait a minute, be like wait a minute, give me a second to catch my breath. As I couldn't, if I was like a performer, I'd be like the very low aspect of it. I'd have been like, so you're also a professional psychic, which I find it was kind of shocking to hear that you're a psychic. Was that kind of
Well,
something that you were always interested in, or did this kind of just
no, it's something that's
happen?
always been with me, and I didn't realize it for when I was young that a lot of the the troubles that I was facing was I would be hearing things and seeing things. You know what I mean? And I didn't know how to control it. I couldn't shut it off, and it would make me freaking crazy. Um, and unfortunately, um, the best psychics that I know, we all have one thing in common. We've all gone through a lot of trauma. And I don't know, it's just like something gets woken up there. And I'd always be able to do this with people, and help them. And then it just kind of turned into um, someone suggested, hey, you should probably do this. And that kind of set me on my path because everything I predicted for them just kept happening over and over again. And then what happened is through a comedy of errors, when I was living in Los Angeles, I was with someone, and they were also a professional psychic, but they read for a lot of the stars, and they got a little overwhelmed because they were too booked. So they started to give some clients to me, and all you got to do is start predicting things that happen to people, and then they're hooked. And so then, I read for a lot of famous um, artists and actors and actresses and what have you, but it all came from that and it just kind of went from there. So it just kind of turned into something I didn't choose. It chose me, if that makes any sense. And, truthfully, almost every musician I know, I say the real musicians, um, I shouldn't say almost everyone, I'd say every one of us, um, have that gift to a certain extent. Because in order to write a song, you have to tap into an energy that's beyond you. Like, give you an idea. I mean, I like to think of myself as a pretty established, good songwriter. But if I sit down and go, I'm going to write a hit today, it's usually shit. It's when I'm in the middle of sleeping, 3 o'clock in the morning, bang, I wake up, holy crap, there it is. And I got to grab a guitar real quick or something. And I truly feel it's given to you. You know what I mean? So we all kind of have that
Yeah.
gift. And once you learn to tap into that on a regular basis, that's where everything changes. You know, um, if you've ever played a bigger show, it's it's like a spiritual experience. You can't explain it to anyone that's never played live in front of a crowd. You know, it's like you connect on a level that's you can't even put into words, and it's the best drug you've ever had in your life. Like there's nothing that tops those feelings. Hence the fact I still do what I do. You know, it's like a lot of people like, well, um, if you're going to be in music for a long time, it's like you don't. I don't choose to do music. It chooses me. You know, it's like that's why when you see all these legacy acts, and people that don't know, oh, they should hang it up. They're old. They had their day, and it's like, no, you can't. They can't stop. If you truly understand, you can't stop, and they're still freaking great. So they're old. I don't care. They're still killer. You know what I mean? If they were killer when they were young, they're killer now. It's an experience that you can't put into words. So I truly feel like every one of us has a certain sense of connecting to the universe. That psychic experience or whatever you want to call it, you know. So that's how that came about.
One thing about psychics that I don't understand is I've seen some people that read cards, and
Hmm.
I know that's a huge thing and for psychics that you can look at a card. I love how some people use Pokemon card. Like they could look at a Pokemon card of Pikachu and they could tell me my whole life story, and I'm like, now how did you get that from looking at this? It
Yeah.
it's always been something I've never understood of like they I don't
I don't use cards or tools or anything like that. I don't use any of that stuff. I call that the dog and pony show. Again, the best psychics that I personally know, and there's not many. There's a lot of people that call themselves psychics, but there's very few that truly have the gift. And the ones that truly have the gift, you just see things. You just start seeing and feeling things. You can't explain it. And it comes in fast and furious. And so, I don't know how many times I've been in somewhere in public and it's like I can see that someone's like, oh, their mom just died. You know what I mean? Like I don't even know where I got that message. And it's like, I'll go up, hey, it's gonna be okay. I'm sorry to hear about your mom. And then just burst into tears. You know what I mean? Like, how the hell did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I get these messages. I can't explain it. I don't have a
yeah.
clue. I don't have a clue. Um, it's just like when someone says, how do you write a song? I don't have a clue. I don't know. I can't explain how you write a song. It writes itself. You know, you you just channel something. I don't even know how to put it into words, man. It's like a car. I'm not a mechanic, man. I know if I put my key in the ignition, I turn it, it starts. I don't need to know how to build the motor. Like, I'm good, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, as long as my car starts by my button, I know how the car works. It's
Yeah.
like,
I get the
I,
gist, but I don't need to know every little bit of it, you know?
right. Can you do like, have you been able to tell psychics like, can you read minds through like a screen like this, or is it you have to be in person?
No, I read for a lot of people through Zoom, like, because I got clients all over the world, right? They'll message me or whatever. Um, but it's like a comedian. It's like, hey, you're really funny. Say something funny. Go. Like, it doesn't work like that. It's like I got to prepare for it. There is a little bit of preparing so I can connect and empty my mind out, right? I can't be thinking about, oh, I got to do my laundry and I got to pick up this and blah 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 and I got to run these errands. Like if I'm it doesn't work like that. I'm not a magic eight ball. You can't just shake me and it's yes, no, maybe so. Um, and That's another thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, tell me what I'm thinking right now. It's like I can tell you what I'm thinking. Beat it. It's like, I don't want to read for you. Like don't play games with me. But when I get messages, they come through. And The only way I can explain it, it's like I'm sitting in a room that's black, and there's a screen, and I'm watching a movie. but it ain't my life. It's yours. That's the only way I can explain it. I that's my best
Well,
guess at it. Like I don't know how it works. I really don't.
well, that's probably one of the more better explanations I've had because I mean, what makes sense is like you can just see their whole life story in a movie. So, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that explanation. I was like, when you said that, I was like, well, shit, I wanted my brain read. Well, I was like, because, you know, here's my thing with psychics, and this I, when you go to these places that do psychics for a read for like a living, you kind of make a point here. It's like they've never met me before. They've never seen my face before. They don't know anything about my life story. And so you kind of just debunked what I thought for years. How do they have time to, because you pay them this amount of money and you go in here and they read your whole life story and they've never met you, they've never seen you, they've never done anything. I'm always like, how do they tell this whole life story without knowing anything about me? Or they've never seen what I look like or anything. And especially at carnivals too, because which I don't know if it's popular now, but I feel like growing up, every time I went to like an event, there was always someone that would do like psychic readings that could read your mind, do all this stuff.
Mm.
And you kind of just really debunk something that I thought, oh, well, then they're not true because you actually made a good point. You kind of can't just really think about it at the time. You have to prepare. And
Kind of.
they,
It's that's why I don't do what I call drive-through psychics, like what you just explained, at a carnival, and there's just one after another, and there's all these people around and stuff. It's like, not to
right.
say they're not legit, but it's been my experience that most of them aren't. They might get something here or there,
Yeah.
and but I'm talking the ones that'll blow your mind, like literally blow your mind. They don't work like that at all.
Yeah.
And you don't really go looking for new clients. They come to you. It's a gift. It's like anything, and I truly feel we all have gifts of some sort. Um, I always say my brain doesn't work like a doctor or a lawyer, but thank God they exist because I need them both. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so, we can't all do everything. We just can't. And that's not our purpose anyway, right?
Yeah, everyone, when I went to college, everyone told me I wanted to be a lawyer. And I was like, oh, I can't, that can't be me. My mom all the time growing up said, you should have been a lawyer because you can lie more times than any other person. I said, Yeah, that's for not stuff that's important. I can't lie on behalf of someone that may or may not have committed a murder. I can't offer
Yeah.
this stuff. I, I can't. I can easily lie if it's like, oh, I broke a glass cup. Oh, I can
Yeah.
lie about that. When it comes to murder, drugs, and all this stuff, I'm like, I can't do that. And there's also not so much studying that you had to do. So that just wasn't something that was meant for me. But I'm like you. I'm glad that there are people like that because
We need
you
all
never
of
know.
it.
You might need
Yeah,
them someday.
that's right. Yeah, you need someone with those skills, 100%. And I just don't have those skills, but they don't have mine. So, we complement each other, right? So I think that's how society works.
Yeah, I always do it based off of skills. Like I remember I had to take a foreign language class for my degree. I was a journalism major, and for some reason, every person that was in the program had to take a foreign language of any kind. Why, I don't know. So I decided to take Spanish because I thought, well, how hard could Spanish be? Well, I learned really quick that it wasn't easy. I took it for 2 years. I had to take two classes because it was split in half. So I had to take elementary one, elementary two. Well, our elementary one decided that we wanted to do like she wanted it to be like a pro class that we all had already learned Spanish, and this put us right immediately into the centerfold of, okay, here you go. And we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We can't speak it. I took 2 years of that. Couldn't tell you a thing I learned. I that was just something that wasn't meant for me. That
Yeah.
just wasn't a skill that I was meant to pick up. And
Well, you
it
don't
was
need it now anyway. They got that AI translator. You can just talk in real time. It's like it's amazing. I'm like,
right. So
why?
it just that was just something that I wasn't meant to learn.
Yeah, yeah,
Like I'm really good at math, and other people are not good at math. Math was just something I was easy could do. Some
yeah.
people in my class could do the Spanish, I couldn't. So I've always said to people, the Spanish was just wasn't meant for me. I wasn't meant to learn it. It wasn't meant to grasp it, and that's fine. I mean, I'm which I've always wanted to learn a different language just to have it, but ugh, if I couldn't learn Spanish, I definitely couldn't learn any other language. Because I thought that's like the easiest language to learn is that, or what I thought was. And I always debunk it like when people say, "Oh, English is the hardest language." I'm like, "Mm, I don't know how believable I find that."
Well, the good news is the cartels are always looking for accountants, I'm pretty sure. So you can pick up the language while you're doing math. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just something that I wasn't meant to do, but I really would like to learn a different language, but oh, the way that they taught it was so hard, which I went to Auburn and learned it from Auburn, so that probably a reasoning in it. It was more of an advanced course, but it was elementary one. I thought, well, how hard could that be? I learned very quickly that it was not easy. So, the amount of times I wanted to punch my computer screen, have meltdowns in class while taking a test, like it was just this whole thing of like, I can't do it. I was like, just give me a zero. I don't care at this point. Just let me cheat and get a zero. Like, which we couldn't cheat any either because I'm pretty sure the person sitting beside me didn't know anything about it either. So it was just like it was just useless at that point. Yeah,
But
everything
it was an experience, right?
an experience I'm never gonna do again.
Yeah.
That was a one and done for me.
There you go.
One and done. It was. I don't even know how I passed the class either. That's just something that I'm like, how in the world did I pass the class? It was like, because I was so bad at it. I took Spanish, the second part, and the second part was always the hardest. And I took it from home. I took it at home because I did summer classes, and that was the summer course that I took. So it was basically 3, 4 months of learning in a 4 week period. So that it was just like crammed into like a month thing. So I had like 13 assignments every day due. I mean, it was miserable and it was like hell. And I remember my mom at some points where she was very much against me for cheating. She was like, "No, Noah, you're going to school here. You're not cheating." By the end of the semester, she was like, "I don't care whatever you do. If you have to cheat, I don't care what you do. I don't care if it's like
Hmm.
your phone, notebook, something, post-it notes, something. I don't care what it is." I'm like, "Do whatever you can to pass the class. Do whatever you can. I don't care." She's like, I don't care anymore. At this point, I don't care anymore. Just do whatever you can to pass the class because we can't afford to take it again. So I thought, oh, I said, okay. And so I did that. I found a way to cheat essentially and was able to pass the class with a D. I mean, it was passing. It was a low grade, but I was able to pass and I didn't have to look back, but yeah, I learned a method and I don't want to give my method away of how I learned either because it was smart. But oh, it was, and also the thing was I was proctored too, so people were watching me take it,
Oh
which was
yeah.
the better part, which was the smart part of my half is how good I am at cheating. So it
Nice.
was a skill I had. So But I didn't cheat the whole class. It was just like for two of the, I think one of the last two assignments I did. So it was, it came in handy. I bet they're like, wow, he actually did a lot better on this test. It's like, yeah, I studied really hard. And then like behind that, like winking and giving like signals and stuff. During this whole journey from being a previous addict to you working with being a producer to a psychic, what's been some of the best, what's been the best piece of advice you've ever received? And like, what's been the biggest thing you've learned through this whole journey as being from where you were used to be to where you are now?
I think the most impactful thing that was ever said to me was, you deserve a better life than the one you've been given yourself. I don't know why that statement really stuck with me, because, I'm not terminally unique, even though most addicts think we are. We all kind of think the same. And it's like, it got so bad that um, I I didn't want to, well, I wanted to die, but I was too chicken to kill myself. There's nothing worse than coming out of a bender and you're just like, "Ah, I'm still alive. Damn it. Like, why just won't you let this end already? You know? And, um, and it's because I couldn't see a way out, and I just thought this was my curse in life. And I thought to myself, the world would be a better place without me in it, which is all BS, you know? And that's where addiction takes you. And like I said, so when someone said to me, you deserve a better life than the one you've been giving yourself, then let me show you, you know? And, like, I'm not going to say my life was just because I got clean. There was a parade out front and, skywriters and all this stuff. Yay, Ray's clean. Yay. It's like, it wasn't like that at all. It was pretty,
Yeah.
pretty, rough for many years. But, uh, all I can say is if you, I mean, without sounding too corny here, man, I mean, if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can make it a reality. And don't look at other people that have hit the pinnacle and look at them with jealousy. Just go, hey, man, thanks, man. You proved to me it can be done. So if you can do it, I can do it. And you know what? Even if you don't strike it, I'm going to die trying. And that's kind of my motto, I guess. I'd
Very,
rather die trying, doing what I love, than I've done the other route where you just accept life, you know, because everyone else tells you that's what you got to do in life or whatever. And I feel there's a higher purpose for us all here. And the only thing that motivates me is how can I help others, right? How can I help? So, and that goes with music or anything. How can I help someone's life? How can I impact them through music or whatever else I do? That's my only motivation. And when you do that, you make it about you and not about me, then life starts to go pretty good. People that make their lives all about themselves, you can go pretty far with that attitude. But in the end, it's going to take you out. It always does. It always does. So,
I think you made a lot of good points there. It's people will have this impression of you, and sometimes you just got to really focus on yourself and put a lot of work into you. And that's, I think, it's a very powerful statement that you made. That it's something that a lot of people need to hear. So, I know a lot of people are so, and I was the same way like you. I had suicidal thoughts as well, and like kind of like similar to you, I wanted to kill myself, but was just scared to do it, and I just didn't have the balls to kind of fall through with it.
mm,
I got scared, and I didn't actually fall through with it, and so. I totally know that pain of like you don't want to live anymore, but you're too scared and too pussy to kind of do it because you just don't have the balls or you just can't get the courage to own up to it and do it. So I totally agree with you on that. That I was the same way. I just never went with it or actually acted upon it. But I'm so glad I didn't because I wouldn't be where I am at if I had done it years and years ago.
Yeah, yeah. Like me, I mean, like I said, I had many close calls in life, and you know, all because of poor decisions on my part. But that was really the motivation. I was kind of hoping to end it, and it didn't end. And so I truly feel, man, we're here for a reason. And so I'm slowly learning what that reason is. All I can tell you is the longer I've been alive, the less I know, and I'm okay with that. I don't want to know everything. I don't need to know everything. I don't need to act like I know everything. I want to learn from others. You know what I mean? And like I said, I didn't get clean on my own. I'd like to say I did this or I got this amazing willpower. I don't, man. It took an army to get me clean. And I'm grateful for that army. They're still there, you know? And so when someone reaches out to me, I want to be there for them too, right? But at the same time, I'll carry the message of recovery, but I'm not going to carry the mess, you know? You got to be ready. You got to be willing to make the change. It's just like, someone that is, well, someone like say someone's overweight and they go get a personal trainer, but then they keep standing up their personal trainer and they never go to the gym. Well, the trainer can't do the workout for you. You have to be willing to do the work. If you do the work, your life will change. That simple, right?
If someone out there is listening to my podcast or listens to this episode and they feel very impactful from the story and they would like to maybe, because I help bring people like you on here, but I don't have all the questions and answers, so it's not best for me to ask. But if someone out there has dealt with something similar and they need some guidance or any advice, um, where can they find you at? As if they have questions that they would like to personally ask you, what's the best way for them to contact you? And feel free to also promote just anything that you have going on, projects, a website, and
Sure.
social media accounts. So feel free
Well,
to
if
promote those.
you want to go the lazy way, you can always just Google me, Ray Ray Star. I come up all over the place. You can go to rayraystar.com. Instagram is at Ray Ray Star 1 because I forgot the password to Ray Ray Star. And on Facebook, I'm Ray Ray Star as well. So you can just find me there. Or on X, it's Ray Ray Star, or no, sorry, Ray Star Rock. And but for the most part, just type in Ray Ray Star. It's probably the easiest. You'll find me somewhere somehow. And you can always reach out, if you're struggling or whatever. I may not have all the answers for everyone, but I can point you in the right directions too. I get it all the time. Um, where my inbox will get some random message, it's like, hey, like, do you think you could talk to my brother? He's really struggling or blah, 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 it's like, and I love that. I freaking love that. I can't always be everything to everybody, but the fact that someone feels safe enough to tell me that they're struggling and wanting help, I'll be an ear, man. You know, it's better than the alternative, right?
Well, Red, thank you so much for coming on. I think your story is so impactful, and it's a story that a lot of people that have similarly dealt with something like that as addiction or and as well as mental health struggles would feel so impactful from it. So I appreciate you so much for coming on and sharing this story
Hey,
with
man,
me
no
and my
problem, man.
listeners.
Hey, and just real quick before I go here, I just want to let everyone know that I'm being dropping a new single for myself personally. It's going to be dropping on September 26th, which is, and ironically, the song, even though we're talking about this now, it's about all the struggles that I've had, in addiction. And then the other part of the song is the struggles of staying clean. So I wrote it because I feel it can really relate to a lot of addicts. We all kind of think the same, and I hope the song will help somebody, you know. So that's the motivation. I've sat on it for about 5 years, and I just finally finished it. So it's finally going to get dropped. So I hope you guys can find me on all the regular streaming places. You know, it'll be out there.
Absolutely. And by the time this episode comes out, that means his single is out now. That by the time this episode comes out, so his single, his newest one's live now. I'll put links of that in the description below so that it's easy access for you to find. I'll also put his website and as well as his social media accounts down there as well, so it's easy access for everyone to find. You're more than welcome to follow me on social media as well. Instagram and
Cool.
TikTok, it's Lethal Venom Podcast on there. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, it's Noah's Podcast. Feel free to follow any of those platforms to keep updates on the podcast on the social media side. Um, as well, feel free to follow Lethal Venom wherever you get your podcasts from on all the major platforms: Spotify, Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Pandora. I mean, it's everywhere. Feel free to follow it on there to get notified of when new episodes come out. Thank you to all my listeners for tuning in for today. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day and week. Y'all stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next episode of Lethal Venom.